Welcome to the Shaba Show. Welcome to the Shaba Lounge. Many of you are first-timers, but many of you have been joining us for the whole year.
Even longer.
Even longer than that.
Actually, we've been going a year straight now, since last, end of November. Last year's when we went full-time web streaming. And we're so excited that we're still here, and
so
you're
we're kind
here.
of celebrating a birthday.
Kind of, but it's a little late. It's like a belated birthday.
But happy belated birthday, web streamers, and to us as well.
Yeah.
And we did take a big break there in the middle for the breakout meetings, but we are back. And what we've been doing on the Shaba Show is been highlighting special guests that have come to speak, as well as worship leaders and others who are doing amazing things for God.
Yeah.
But today we have a very special guest in the house, someone that we have never met ever. And
well, just like 5 minutes ago.
Except for 5 minutes ago. Her name is Cristi
Winkler.
This is like a magic show. Are you sure we've never met before? Thank you. And but here's the point of today's show. Cristi is a normal Christian. Come on. And I'm saying normal in the sense that we have this wrong idea that the special guest speakers and Rick and Steve and worship leaders, God really uses them. But what about normal people like me? That's how we feel about our lives often. And so I'm really excited to have Cristi here, although we don't know anything about her. We're going to get to know her with you guys. And God has used her in an amazing and exciting and very fun way. And she's just normal. Like you
sometimes.
And yeah, I was gonna say like us, but that's not really true.
Sorry,
I'm buzzing
not true
here
at all.
It's not true at all. And but that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna turn our cell phones off. So let's get started.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna jump into the story, and it's an amazing story, amazing testimony about a game show that you actually went on. We're gonna kind of get to that. Why don't we start off? Right now you're an MSU online student, is that right?
Yes.
And you're from Wisconsin.
Yes.
So for all of you MSUers on there, this is one of your fellow classmates right here, Cristi Winkler from West Bend. Is that what it's called?
West Bend, Wisconsin. It's just above Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Wow.
Yes.
All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how this story started and this crazy journey that you've been on.
Come on.
Okay. Well, I was in a place in my life where I was a single mom, and I, for some reason or other, the Lord was taking me to different jobs or whatever, and in between jobs, I would be on unemployment and didn't get the financial counseling. And I would use credit cards to get my kids food and clothes, and I just think when I get the next job, I'll just pay it off.
Wow. Thank God you're an MSU online student now.
Yes.
So you can get people like Gene Stripe and others in your life. Did you watch Gene? Were you able to watch him or no?
Oh, yes. I just finished his class actually Friday night when I came here for the...
Wow.
or Monday night.
Thank God. Okay, so
Right.
God's changing some things in that.
Right.
But you were back in a place, so go on. You were back in a place where you didn't have that and you were not financially well off.
Right. With the Lord, my relationship with the Lord was He took me, first, He took me through AA, then through this Orthodox Jewish company. I almost converted to Judaism. It's hard to say that word. And was kind of led to the Lord at that time. And so I think because of the background in AA, I started learning about having a will and, Him having a plan for my life. Where before this, I was raised Catholic, and even though we hardly ever showed up for church, but it was more, I always saw God as, you're either going to do good or you're going to hell,
Sure.
So, and I'd always try to read the Bible. I always had a hard time. So anyway, the Lord brought me, into a place of really knowing Him through Scripture, through the church, even though I started getting to know Him with a plan and a will in AA. But anyway, so here I am. I'm in a place, my kids have grown, and my youngest one is actually moving out. He moved to Pennsylvania, which is very hard for me because I love being a mom. And so he moved out, and I also found myself in a place where I couldn't pay my bills. I would lay with anxiety, like, Lord, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I had to give up my home. I gave up my son. There was a woman whose husband died who invited me just to come and stay with her. So I kind of felt like I was in the desert.
Sure.
I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know where the Lord was taking me. I just said, Lord, I'm going to trust you. And I had been through a lot of things up until this time, and I started getting stronger in Him and telling Him that I would praise Him no matter what was going on in my situation.
That's good.
So I told Him, I'm going to praise you. Even though I don't see hope or what I'm going to do, I'm going to praise you. And I didn't feel that it was His will, but it was the only option that I thought that I had at the time was to file for bankruptcy. So I started filing for bankruptcy.
Now, sorry to interrupt. So how long ago was this? When was this happening?
This was last year.
Okay.
And to start off even the whole story, I came to Morningstar 2006 to the Harvest Conference. And there was some Morningstar students. They had the tents up, and a friend of mine went and got words, and they even had my name on the top of the list. You know, God told us you were coming, but at the end, there was a guy that grabbed me, and he said, wait, there's one more thing. He said, I keep seeing this wheel. And he kind of saw it as an old-fashioned wheel with a horse and buggy. But he's like, but it's not with the horse and buggy, it's the wheel. God's really going to use that wheel in your life. And I'm thinking, okay, he's going to use a wheel in my life. Okay. Well, that night, John Cha-Cha had preached, and he talked about God's opening new doors, new windows, everything new. Go home, no more job. And I'm like, no! You know, I couldn't afford.
That was a good
I was like, where's John?
I was
John?
back. I was back.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just Cristi. All right. Goodness.
Good.
Okay, so you got
Right.
so you're getting
So
some
I
encouragement
told some
and
of
a
my
wheel
friends,
word.
Right,
Okay.
that night I was like joking around, like, go home, no more jobs. And I thought, Lord, you're not going to do this to me. Let me go through this again. And, one of my friends is like, Cristi, what are you talking about? And I said, well, I'm just repeating what he preached on. Well, we all kind of got a different message. My son was there and my two friends, and it was really kind of interesting how we each got a different message.
Sure.
Well, sure enough, I went home, lost my job by that Friday. But I knew that the Lord had spoke to me in that message that he was going to be changing everything in my life and everything was going to be new.
Yeah.
So at that particular time, that's when the things started happening. I left my home, moved in with the woman. My son moved out. I started filing for bankruptcy. In the meantime, the Lord directed me to a new job. I even asked for more money than I did.
Come
But
on,
I said,
be
Lord, I'm going
specific.
to trust
That's good.
you. I'm going to trust you. And I thought,
Sure.
if I was working all these years, I'd be making this much anyway. And I ended up getting hired.
Come on.
And in the meantime, my mother, she's been praying for me for years, and just,
Thank you, Mom.
yeah. And she would religiously watch Wheel of Fortune every night. Her friends couldn't call her at 6:30. She had to watch Wheel of Fortune. Sometimes I'd go and share dinner with her and, play the wheel with her. They announced
Are you guys getting this now? There's
Yeah.
clues that we're dropping. First the desert, then the wheel,
Right.
and now the religiously wheel-watching mother.
What
Yes.
could it be?
We're getting there. You guys hang tight.
Right.
It's happening.
So anyway, she called me, and I guess they announced that the Wheelmobile was coming to Milwaukee. And she
The
called me.
Wheelmobile.
I've never
Yeah,
heard
the
of this.
I haven't
Wheelmobile.
either. I'm not a big fan. I've seen it a few times.
Yes, we're going to do the
The
same.
Wheelmobile.
It's going to be the Shaba
Wheelmobile,
Show
yeah.
mobile. Will be coming to your area soon as well. So
Okay,
the Wheelmobile is. So
Wheelmobile
what
is
is
coming.
that?
She called me.
What does that
every-
mean? That the show is on
That
coming
means
to
they
your
go
town?
to different towns, and there's a few people that do auditions.
Oh, okay.
And and then they call you back for a second audition.
Okay, so
and
you're at your
then-
mom's, and that's what they say this while you're at your mom's watching Wheel of Fortune. Is that
No,
how?
I was at home.
Oh,
She
okay.
was watching Wheel of Fortune and saw that the
Okay.
Wheelmobile was coming, and she kept praying, "What can we do to help Cristi? What can we do to help Cristi?" Because she wanted to see me get out of
Come
the
on.
situation I was in. So she called me every day. Chris, they're doing auditions at Steinhoffel's. Promise me you'll be there. Promise me you'll go. And I'm like, okay, Mom, I'll go to Wheel of Fortune auditions. And I hung up and I'd, go back to work. And she'd even call me at my desk at work. She called me the next day. Promise me, you're going. They're going to be there on Saturday. And I'd be like,
is
okay,
wild.
Mom, I'm going. Okay, Mom, I'm going. And she wouldn't leave me alone. So
Yeah, that's
I
what
went.
Andrew did with me when American Idol came through.
It
Charlotte.
was. It was like,
every day. Dean,
American Idol.
auditions.
You can do it.
I was like, yeah,
Oh, wait,
yeah,
you're too
whatever.
old.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, but they don't have an age.
Dean,
Do they
you're-
have an age thing
Dean,
for?
You'll always
No,
be
I
my
don't think
American Idol.
I am. Thank you, because I'm mine. So
Back to
Anyway,
reality.
I went
how
on
did you make the
Saturday.
decision? How did you make the decision now to go?
Well, I know that a lot of times the Lord speaks
Because
to
you weren't
us.
serious. You weren't serious at first when she was
Well,
saying
I just thought it was kind of materialistic, that I didn't really see
Sure.
God in it.
Come on,
because
friends, we're breaking through.
I didn't really think God was in it because it's Wheel of Fortune and you're after money and you're after,
Come
that
on.
it's not humbling. It's not,
Right, I got you.
me working for it or, and I just thought it was really far-fetched.
Yeah.
It's just something you don't.
Right.
But she had asked me, and I told her I would. And
Good.
I said, Lord, I know that you speak to us through other people. Maybe this is something you want me to do.
Sure,
Like I said, my life I had devoted to wanting to be in his will. So I showed up that Saturday, met a bunch of other girls, and we were having fun, and I didn't get called up, so we all decided to go back the next day. In the meantime, I got a chance to minister Christ a little bit to a couple of them, not shoving it down their throat, but just telling them, I don't like to say I'm a Christian. I like to say I love Christ. That's my thing.
Great.
And so I got to share a little of that with these girls, but by the end of the day, I wasn't called up for any of the auditions. So I started talking to him, and, I'm like, I don't know why you have me here. I don't know why. And in the middle of me talking to him, saying, I'm here for my mom, they called my name, and I'm like, never mind, I'll talk to you later. And I ran up, and I love to sing, so I kind of had it planned because they had everybody screaming 10 at 10 for the news cameras. And it was hurting their vocal cords. And if they read that you like to sing on there, they'd make you sing. So I thought, I'm not going to sing, I'll just tell them what to do, So I get up there and I tell them, don't hurt your vocal cords. And what ended up happening was I started singing, and I guess I did it so loud that but obviously they want somebody that's that's not going to be shy and right.
Wild. Good.
So I didn't expect anything to come out of it, but they said just expect something within the next 9 or 10 days to know if you're called back for a second audition. And I got called back for a second audition, and I ended up going to this audition, and there was about 100 people at this one, where the previous one was about 10,000.
Wow. Seriously, people
Yes.
are still trying to bust Will.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It could be you next.
That's
Dean.
amazing.
Right. And they
That
even
many
changed
people.
it now where you can possibly win $1 million on it.
Come on.
And I thought, Lord, why didn't they have that on when I... So, but anyway, I went to the second audition. It just seemed like a lot of people weren't very enthusiastic about it. And the things that they were asking you to do weren't really that hard. They want you to pretend you're spinning a 1,000-pound wheel because that's how heavy the wheel is. And, they want you to show that you know to call, RSTL and, that you can use common sense.
It's just common sense. It's not
Common sense and not being shy. Just going for it.
So you don't have to be brilliant or anything.
Right. And I can even
so
put
I do
that...
have a shot.
Yeah.
Just in case the mobile. Okay,
And
try.
I can even put
Wheelmobile.
that in
Wheelmobile.
what is the Lord has been speaking to me too, is that, I am an outgoing person, but because of some things that have happened in my past, I would shy away. And I believe he's telling me to step out more, and so...
Come on.
He was showing me that I could do this too. And I had some friends here from Bulgaria who watched the TV news
Sure.
doing the auditions.
Oh, right.
And my one girlfriend, she's like, look at that evangelist. Look at her go. Look at her go, because they're showing me, give me a tea, give me a, and I'd spin the wheel, and I wanted to have fun. Whether they called me or not or whatever,
Come
I
on.
wanted to have fun. So,
So let's go to the supernatural dynamics. At some point, something kicked in here with it. Was it a dream or a vision? When did that happen? Was it after the second audition?
well, I've got the next thing that goes with
Okay,
this.
go ahead.
You will
Go
really.
ahead. I'm so excited. Yeah,
Okay,
we're
all right.
excited.
I'm excited.
We're excited.
Okay, so there was a girl. She was like emailing people and kind of telling them that I might get chosen. I was at the second, and I kind of warned her that you might be getting your hopes up too high. She's like, well, you don't even care if you're on, and I'm like, basically, if it's the Lord's will, I'll be on.
Sure.
If it's not, I won't
And
be.
how many were they taking out of these thousands?
I think there was like. They took 100 out of the 10,000.
Yeah, but they were going to choose how many at
Then
the end?
out of the 100, I think they took about 10.
Okay.
Possibly. I'm not sure. But
Wow.
they tell you that it's very, very hard to get on, not to get babysitters, don't rent hotel rooms, anything like that, because it's very likely that you won't get picked.
Sure.
So I guess I just didn't really plan on being picked. I just went and had fun and, whatever. If it's your will, Lord, it's your will. And,
Sure.
So anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to work, meeting with this guy about filing for bankruptcy and having telling the Lord that I don't want to be, in anxiety.
Sure.
But I was still, there was no thing that I was going to be on Wheel of Fortune, and I was very concerned about what I was going to do. Where am I going to go with my life? And I started getting like mean and snapping at people at work, my family, just everyone. And one morning I woke up and I was just, I felt like I couldn't get up and get dressed for work because something inside me thought I can't hurt another person in my life. I was on my knees. I was just bawling to the Lord and just telling him, I don't even know how you can call me a Christian,
Right.
because it surely doesn't seem like I'm loving you because of how I'm acting. And I've heard him speak to me in the past, and I've had supernatural experiences. There was this little old man, Joe Jordan, when I was a baby Christian. He spoke about the Holy Spirit coming on you, and I saw people falling and doing all this stuff, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to pretend to fall, and I'm going to hurry up and get back to my seat. I didn't have to pretend anything. I was trying to put myself out,
Right.
and then I realized it doesn't hurt. I'm in a fire, and it doesn't hurt.
Wow.
And I started walking back to my seat. I had to hang on to the thing because I was drunk. And for somebody that hasn't drunk, I didn't drink this had been probably about, this was last year, so I quit drinking in 92. But I was a baby Christian when I got drunk. Sorry, I'm getting this
Yeah.
on the Holy Spirit. But
Yeah,
and then
it's
my
good.
friends are driving and laughing in the front seat, and I'm laughing. I'm surprised I didn't have a stomachache the next day. But
Right.
nobody was driving the car. We're all, gut level laughing. It was awesome.
So you've
So
had
I had
experiences with the Lord,
experiences.
and you've had the
Right.
Lord speaking to you.
And there's
in the
things
past.
he's promised me that hasn't
Okay.
come to pass yet, but I'm
Okay.
hanging on
So
to those
this
promises.
this was not a first time experience.
No,
supernatural.
and I've
Okay.
known, and he's confirmed many times. And I was very hard on him in Scripture when
Okay.
because of working at that Jewish foundation.
Sure.
I would open up the Bible and I'd even scream at him, like, why do you say that?
Hey, it's relational.
Right.
So here you are now. You're on your knees and you're crying and crying out to the Lord.
Right. And what he did was he kind of was like, not like shaking me, but almost just saying,
Sure.
Cristi, I chose you. It's not what you do. I chose you. Just keep going,
Sure.
And I was like, okay, I'll get up, I'll get dressed, and I'll just put on your strength, but you have to help me not to be,
Sure.
have this being affecting me the way it is. And so I got dressed, and I had a P.O. box at the time because I didn't have a home. So every morning I would stop before work and pick up my mail. And I stopped at the P.O. box that morning, and, I'm looking through the mail, and here's an envelope from Wheel of Fortune. And I open it up, and at the top, in really big letters, it said, congratulations, you have been chosen. I have to
Wow,
tell you,
that's
I did
crazy.
not go to work with makeup on that morning. Because not only did he tell me by his Spirit
Right.
in my bedroom that morning that I was chosen,
Yeah.
he later had me holding the paper, telling me it. So Wheel of Fortune didn't choose me. It was him choosing me.
Right.
And so I'm like, I went to work, no makeup.
So
And
the question I have is, when did you call your mom, and what was her reaction? Because she's, the religious Wheel of Fortune watcher.
what do you think her reaction was? She was like, and
Yeah, but
she's in her
what a great
70s, so she's
what a great picture though, really, where God, here you are, and as a picture for all of us to say, the Lord is saying, I have chosen you, and he's using these circumstances to,
That's awesome.
Right.
in the midst of the valley of the shadow of death, there's still this
Right.
table that he makes for us, even in the midst of all our enemies and all the things that you're going through. It's a great picture, but there's more to the
Right.
story.
there is.
There's so much more. This is getting better. Okay.
Right.
So that's
I
an important
put
part,
off
though.
my filing for bankruptcy because I thought,
Wow.
I'll just put it off, because I can always go back and say, okay, now I'm ready and I'm applying.
Wow.
And I actually, after I found out when I had to go, because they say once you're picked, it could take up to 18 months,
Okay.
to just plan on it being, and be ready to go at any time. But, I guess the flesh in me wanted to kind of tell him I had a black and blue eye or something and file for bankruptcy so that whatever I won would be mine.
This is getting deep.
This is.
This is getting complicated.
Well, I'm just being honest,
Yeah.
But I was like, no, Lord, you chose me to do this, whatever your
Come
plan
on.
is, I'm going to go with whatever your plan is. So I'm packing. I invited my son to come out there with me, and my brother from Colorado was going to meet us in California, and it was at Universal Studios.
So how long did it take for you actually to get on then? Because you're heading out
They
there
wanted
now,
me
right?
there like within 4 weeks.
Wow,
Okay,
okay.
Yeah, so it was December of last year, December 22nd, I think it was.
Come on, happy birthday,
That,
Wheelmobile. Happy first birthday,
Right, yeah.
Wheelmobile.
So I started packing my stuff, had planned for Paul to pick me up the next morning to go to the airport, and I thought of the word ketchup. And in the meantime, I'm practicing Wheel of Fortune. People are giving me, there was a pastor even from another church that gave me a Wheel of Fortune DVD that was one of his kids so at lunch break at work, I would play Wheel of Fortune, and people would walk past laughing their head off because they'd hear the Wheel of Fortune music.
Yeah, who's laughing now?
But I
Workmates.
thought, I'm going to get ready, to do these tests, and even
Come
though my
on.
mom thought I was a natural.
So wait, what was the deal with this ketchup thing? You just thought of this word.
You can't bring that in yet.
Oh, I'm
That's not
sorry.
You
even
just
in there.
said that.
Yeah,
You
no.
just said-
Oh.
You just get
You
deep.
thought
Oh,
of the
yeah,
word
okay, ketchup. Okay.
So you thought of
I was
ketchup,
there.
but there's something more
Sorry.
dramatic, right?
Right, okay.
Okay.
He was giving me a word ketchup. And I thought, that would make an awesome bonus round word, because at the bonus round, you have to give 4 letters, or 3 letters and a consonant, or vowel.
Oh, okay.
4 consonants and a vowel.
Right.
And who's going to, call the KCP, And I thought, wow, that would make a really good bonus round word. So as I continued packing, I realized it wasn't just me thinking the word ketchup. Because of my experience of the Lord speaking to me before this on things, I knew it was him, and he wouldn't leave me alone with it. I was like, all right, ketchup, And so my son came to pick me up the next morning, and he was still nudging me with this word ketchup. And I think he was having fun, actually. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
He does that.
Right. So I told my son Paul on the way to the airport, for some reason or other, the Lord will not leave me alone with the word ketchup. And my son, he's very, very got a call on his life. And at the time, he was kind of not quite as close. But when he heard me say that the Lord was giving me the word ketchup, he was thinking in his mind, yeah, Lord, she's got to catch up on her bills.
There's a lot of meanings in this.
Right. So he didn't even think of this, squeeze bottle ketchup. He was thinking that God was telling me to catch up.
Yes.
So anyway, we get there, and they had to go in a different way at a different time. I had to go sooner. And they walked me through the Universal Studios. And as I was walking through with all the other contestants, and there was contestants for 5 days, because they tape once a month.
Okay.
They tape all,
Okay.
or 4 times a month. So they only work
Sure.
1 day a week.
Right.
And as we walked
Sounds
through...
like a good deal.
Yeah.
We should do that.
We should.
They do all
We should
5
start
days
doing
in one.
that, yeah.
Right. So as I was walking through, it was all these props for movies, because it was at Universal Studios. And I saw these big dinosaurs and Jeeps and on shelves, just to give you a picture of how big this
Wow.
place was. It was big. I felt like this big in a huge,
Sure.
just massive. And I felt like I was in God's storehouse. That all these things were stored up, and look at how big it is. And God's storehouse is even bigger, because this is on earth.
That's
Can you
right.
imagine? And this is what I'm thinking. And so we get to the area where they started teaching us what we needed to do when we spun the wheel and grabbed things and where to put it and, this. And then they did, helped with makeup. And I met Vanna, who's this little shrimp. She's a very, very, very neat lady. But anyway, I was the Friday's show, so I had to wait through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so I had to go upstairs by the other contestants that were also waiting for their show. And in the meantime, I'm sitting there, and I'm not getting any of their...
Nice.
I'm not getting any
So
of
you're
it.
watching the
And I
taping.
had some caffeine that morning because they didn't have decaf, and I have to tell you, I don't need caffeine.
No, this is Cristi
don't.
without caffeine.
Yes.
So you can imagine, yeah.
Caffeine makes me more shaky than it does awake,
Oh, okay.
and my concentration is off. So here I am. I had to have caffeinated coffee. And I'm like, and I'm not getting any of it. And I'm like, Lord, I'm not getting any of this. You're going to have to be the one to do this, because I'm. And then all of a sudden I look up, and the theme of the week, because they have a theme, or the theme of the month, they have a theme each month, and it was Desert Passage. And I saw that, and something inside me just knew, or just felt his presence was there, like he was really telling me something. Because I'd been in a desert, I was like, the Israelites coming out of Egypt. They didn't have a home, they were being led and,
Sure.
not knowing where, they're going. And that's exactly where I was at. And so anyway, I'm like, okay, Lord, you really are here, aren't you? It just seemed like everywhere I turned, he was there. He was a part of it. And so all of a sudden it was my turn to go do the taping, and I get down there, and it was very fun. I was very nervous, though. And But I ended up hitting the 10,000 in between the two bankrupts, which was really fun. And I only guessed one thing, and it was a prize puzzle, and it was dramatic coastline. And I kept spinning because I didn't know it. And my son and my brother were up there thinking, once I called that R, because I had amatic and coastline, and who knows why I called the M. I know it was the Lord, But anyway, then I called the R, and they're like, and I still didn't, I never heard of a dramatic coastline, But I said dramatic coastline, and that was it. And I was at 18,000 something, and I won a trip to Bermuda, and
Wow.
and I'm like, ooh, and I'm like, Lord, I don't know why you want me to go to Bermuda, but I'll go, And I guess I was just playing the part, It didn't really quite sink in yet, I was just like, and I'm kind of, I like to hug, and I'm kind of, so I kept hugging Pat, and the guy probably thinks I'm nuts, but.
You can hug us at any point, by the way. We're very huggy people, too.
Okay, so it's good.
Yeah, I'm probably not too much taller than Pat, either,
Yeah,
so
probably not.
Right.
Yeah, he's not that very tall.
Yeah, this is inspiring me.
So
This is
anyway,
exciting.
I
We're getting
won
somewhere.
the trip to Bermuda, and the other two were like catching up, and I'm like, I'm cheering them on and everything, thinking, no.
Hey, the Bible
like,
says what we
sorry,
bless will
Lord,
be
but yeah.
blessed. What we curse will be cursed. No.
Even on the wheel.
Even in the
Right.
wheel, baby, the wheelmobile.
Yeah, and I really just wanted my whole, my whole countenance to be surrendered to whatever the Lord was doing, and even though I did want to win.
Come on.
So I ended up making it to the bonus round, and I get down there, and I had it planned, especially from practicing all these, weeks at my desk at work. I had planned what letters I wanted to call for the bonus round, and it was C, D, M, and A. I had it all planned out, unless the Spirit was telling me to call an M or a P, or a F. Or
I
whatever.
love Spirit-led Wheel of Fortune. I love Spirit-led game show.
So I get down there, and there's one thing I left out that I have to tell you, and then we'll go back to me getting to the bonus round.
We're on the roller coaster ride with you, Cristi. You just go
all
ahead.
right. When we were in the room and they were giving us the directions of what to do, and then they took us out to teach us, and they're playing games. We had to pick balls and numbers to find out who was going to be on Fridays or Mondays, or and who your other contestants were. I was pulled in the back room by this man, and he said, I noticed on your form that you're a convicted felon.
Nice.
And I put it on the last one, so I knew that they knew that I was a convicted felon, And on the thing, I told him, I gave my life to Christ now. Everything's changed. Everything's different. So I started telling him that. I said, this was years ago. In fact, they waited a year to arrest me because they didn't want to blow the undercover's cover because I dealt drugs. And he said, we know all that you gave your life to God and everything. He said, but what you didn't write is what you did. What did you do? And I said, okay, I sold, 10 grams of cocaine is what I was caught for. And he said, that's all we needed to know. We'll see you later. And I'm like, okay. So I went back out and right. So this guy, he already heard my whole spiel of how I gave the life to the Lord. He changed me. So here I am at the bonus round, and all of a sudden, I'm waiting for Vanna to, do the thing, and she, bling, the category was food and drink.
We need to get that sound and add it right there.
Right there. I hope you guys heard that. We just added that in post-production.
And the category was food and drink, and all of a sudden, I saw the two letters go up, and it was E and T.
So they put those up themselves.
Yeah, because on the bonus round, you don't call
I haven't seen
out-
Wheel of Fortune in like 20 years, so I just wanted to get up. So they
In
put the T
bonus
and an
round,
E already.
You don't call R, S, T, L, N, or E.
Oh, they throw that as freebies. Okay.
Those are all in
Okay.
there. Oh, no, not the E, just the R, S, T, L, N, all the main consonants.
Okay.
So then you have to call a few more and a vowel. And when I saw the E and T and kind of looked at it, I knew instantly it was ketchup.
No way.
It was ketchup.
Crazy.
And I was trying to spit the letters out. I was like, K, C, P, and U.
And they're like,
And
what
doing
the heck?
everything I could to not start crying. Because
Unbelievable.
I, at that time, felt like I the only way I can put it is I felt like I was taken into kind of a third heaven, or, like a different dimension, I was taken into the Spirit. And his presence, this floor was the shiniest floor you could ever stand on. And I felt like I was standing in heaven. I really, really did. And I'm just like, I'm not going to cry, And this part I forgot to tell Steve Thompson about.
Okay.
If you're watching, Steve. At that particular time, I was ready to start bawling. And it was like, like I told you, the Lord, sometimes he likes to show off. He even, I don't know, he does silly things, but he was like going like that, like, knock it off.
Yeah.
Let's have fun, and I was kind of like, okay. And I forgot there was going to be a commercial, prize. I thought they were going to commercial, and, and so I started telling Pat, I'm like, I told Paul that the Lord gave me the word ketchup.
This is during the commercial break?
No.
No, this is live.
They're taping. Yeah.
So on the show, you're telling him that God had told you the word was going to be ketchup.
I told Paul that the Lord gave me the word ketchup. And Pat, you'll notice if you ever watch Wheel of Fortune, or I noticed, this is one of the things that I really noticed about this guy, is that when you say something, he's not like, yeah, right, let's move on. He's not that kind of guy. He listens and responds exactly to what it is, so quickly. I mean, he really is gifted in that. So anyway, when I told him, I told Paul, the Lord gave me the word ketchup, he opens up my prize, turns it at me, and he says, yeah, and he's also giving you $30,000. And I was like, because I was totally forgetting about the prize, the money, everything. I was with the Lord. But the thing is that when I saw ketchup, I turned and looked at my son, who they brought down now that I'd made it to the bonus round. And one of the biggest rules was you could not look at the people, even before you went down, you could not look at the people that came to meet you, because they didn't want to have any paranoia of that there was anything funny going on.
Right.
I couldn't help it. When that word was ketchup and they were flipping it, I had to look at my son Paul. Like, look at what the Lord did. I couldn't. Well, I guess, and then Pat gave me the $30,000. Paul said the director was going nuts. He's like, what do we do? What do we do? Somebody told her the word. Well, the man that pulled me in the back room, that I had to tell him about that I was a convicted felon and why, grabs the director, I guess. My son had told me behind the scenes. He settles the director down, says, don't worry about it. The Lord gave her the word.
Oh my God.
Because by now he's a veteran with all this stuff.
That's
and he
right.
knows.
Right.
Now he knows.
How those prophetic
She
things
used
work.
to sell crack, but now
Right.
God speaks to her.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Right.
Wow.
Now, what did Pat? Because you're sitting there, you're just like, okay, and you just gave all those letters. What was his response, or what were the people's response?
I didn't tell you about that. In fact, you'll see it
I mean,
when you watch it.
It would be
You'll
as
see it
if
when you
they
watch
knew.
it. Like I'm almost crying, and I'm like, I say KCP and you, and then he's like, you think you're really smart, don't you? And I was like,
Oh my goodness.
because I'm trying not to cry, and it's like when you're standing in the presence of the Lord, there's just something that happens. You're not, And I was like, and so but then the Lord's just like, come on, let's have fun, and then he gave me the $30,000 and said, I'm getting out of the way, and my son and my brother came, and we were just like, woo, and.
All right, 3 more consonants and a vowel.
C,
1,
K,
2,
P,
and a vowel.
U.
You think you're smart, don't you? You think you're real smart. Well, let's just see how smart you are, kiddo. Let's just see how smart you are. Ha! You didn't get them all. Ha! What is that?
Ketchup.
Yeah, there you go. It's fun when you figure it out before the thing starts.
I told Paul, the Lord gave me the word ketchup.
And he also gave you $30,000. There you go.
Cristi, we're giving you a cash advance in the amount of $30,000.
Wow. Here comes some congratulatory guys. $47,800.
Now, did you see it air? You saw it air.
And the
And you
thing
s- they
is
put that
that
part
you
in?
don't get the money for about 90 days after, up until 90 days after it airs.
Oh,
and if
wow.
anything happens that it doesn't air, you don't get the
Are
money.
you serious?
So I was kind of like on the
Wow.
edge of my seat. They
the-
said it was
the
going to air
spiritual
January
warfare
18th.
just
yes,
began
yes.
when you were
Oh
done.
gosh.
Because my son told me about, the director, and I'm thinking, oh no, they might not air it. Or if, I think at the time there was some political thing going on. I think Obama and Clinton. There
Oh,
was
okay.
a lot of that stuff going on, and they would cut shows off the air to put them on.
Yeah.
So I was like, we don't want to see Obama and Clinton right now, please, please.
Some Robin
And
McMillan tongues over that.
Yeah, that's hardcore.
He spared me.
Now, when they aired the
That,
show,
and they aired it.
when they aired the show, but they had that portion in there, you saying that God had told
They
you
have
everything.
the portion of me telling, so people all over.
So this is the national.
got
I mean,
to
this
see
is
this.
this is the national deal.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
show, the real thing.
Wow.
Right. And that
What
night
an
it was just
amazing
very, very
story.
cool because my son, we went out to eat and he was putting ketchup on things he normally wouldn't put ketchup on. He's squeezing
He's like,
it
Mom,
all
you're
over.
paying for this tonight, Mom. By the way.
And on the plane ride home, he does music and he likes writing songs, and he's got a MySpace where he's got his music on, and
Sure.
he's kind of. But a lot of his songs, weren't for the Lord, and I had fallen asleep, and I woke up, and all of a sudden I look, and he's writing a song, and he's got his Bible there. And so and then he was like gonna look up, and I I was sleeping again. I'm like, I'm not interrupting this.
That's
for a
amazing.
mom to see, my other sons definitely loves the Lord, but now Paul is really, really on fire for the
Come
Lord.
on,
It's
God.
just really neat what the Lord
That
is
is
doing.
amazing.
Wow.
It's so amazing how the Lord will obviously do something with you, and then those around you, like this, he just
Right.
displayed himself in a
Right.
supernatural way.
And he sent me to Bermuda. I met a Christian woman who ran the TV station there. They aired me 3 times
Telling the
about
story.
yeah. And I've also gone to secular places, in the community that have asked me to come and speak. They got to hear the Lord. I noticed some people fuming because they didn't want to hear about Jesus,
Yeah, come on.
But how can I tell my story of Wheel of Fortune
Yeah.
without
How
telling?
do you deny that?
I can't leave the Lord out of it because he was in every part of it.
Unbelievable.
And
And
there's people, I was writing a book, and I would tell people about, they would just meet me and not even know the Wheel of Fortune, but it's like now I want to add that in,
Sure.
because
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, and not just working in your life and in your family, but then to put you on a platform in front of all these people and
Right.
Pat and all these people. What an amazing story.
That's incredible.
That is great.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. We're going to land the plane here and come out in just a sec, but I think that's what stood out to me. I mean, there's so many dynamics in this story, and like a
Right.
prophetic picture how God has used you and I chose you. And the one thing that stood out to me was how God was just allowing you to be yourself, and like you kept saying, I just wanted to be
Right.
myself and
Yeah.
be charismatic and be fun,
Right,
and
and
not
have him be
have
a
this
part of it.
religious thing
Yeah.
like I have to be all humbled out and all this. And God will exalt man, God will exalt people so that He can be exalted through them. And that's what He did with you, and especially taking you from the lowest place, sort of that that you were in that
Right.
season of your life.
right.
Such a powerful
And like
story.
that young guy, a student at here in
Yeah.
Morningstar, saying God's really going to use that wheel.
The wheel.
I'm like, okay.
Gosh, so many amazing
And
So
He
parts.
does he
is
get like a
using the
cut
wheel.
for that word? Or
Yeah,
how's
in
that?
heaven. In heaven, he gets
In
a
heaven,
return.
Yeah.
rewards are building.
Yes.
Right.
Sure.
And who knows how many people
Oh,
have been
man.
touched by it.
Yeah,
I'll never
amazing.
know, but-
And here again is the point that stood out to me was God using normal people in supernatural ways, but not just in the old traditional ways that we've thought in the past, street evangelism, etc. But here is, and I'm telling you what, this is what God is doing. He is taking normal believers and putting them in new spheres out there in different places in life where He has not shown up before, or so we think. And He is displaying Himself through people who can get past the religious things and tap into the fact that Christ is in us. He can speak to us. He wants to display Himself in a supernatural way.
Right.
And look at what He did for you personally, for your family, and for anybody who is watching that show, for your mom. I mean, there's so many dynamics to the story that's amazing. But the point that we wanted to get across to all you out there is be yourself and allow, and that's what the Shaba Show is, allow God to express Himself
Yeah.
through you, advancing the kingdom in the personal and unique way that He's made you. You don't have to be
Right.
like Cristi, you don't have to be like us, be like Jason, be like Rick, Steve, Leonard, or others. You just be yourself and see what God does. I mean, amazing.
And if I can add one thing, know that He's crazy in love with you. this was one thing. There was a guy that sent me a prophetic word saying, I believe that God really wants to show you he loves you. He used leaves and all these weird things in there. But if somebody's really in love, and one of the teachers spoke on this, was it David Crabtree or whatever?
Today, sure.
That if you're in love with somebody, you're cuckoo and crazy in love with them.
Yeah.
That's how the Lord is with me. I mean, he's silly, he's fun, he's, there's times, that he wants me to be, in reverence or repentance.
Sure.
But he's even sung a song to me one morning, and it was a secular song. So,
Amazing.
right.
Isn't it great?
Right.
Yeah.
That's
He's so relational.
Amazing.
Wow, we had a great time. I hope you had a great time too. That is fun. And if you have video on demand, grab some friends and let them watch that again and again, and share that amazing story. It really is encouraging.
And I can make
Well, hey, listen, this is your week. This is your time to be yourself, get out there and release the reality of God out of you in expressing the kingdom of God wherever you are. If it's work, on national television, alone with the Lord, just be yourself and see what God does.
Yeah, and as always, we'd love to hear from you guys. Make sure you email us at webstream@morningstarministries.org. Check out the forums, check out the web streamers wall. Anything else?
That's right, yeah. And
What else is coming up? We got the New Year's conference coming up. If you haven't signed up for that yet, love to have you here. But if you can't be here, you can be here even when you can't be here.
That's right. And hey, check out MSU Online. Cristi's a student, and you can see what it did for her.
Morningstar University for those of you.
Morningstar University, click on it, check it out.
There's hope.
There is.
And I had a desire to do this for a long, long time.
Unbelievable.
And with this happening, he's like, okay, the door's open.
Unbelievable.
Just
and
like
the
John
financial
Chacho said,
and the financial
everything new.
things.
Took care of everything.
There's so much in
So
the
much.
story.
Right,
It really is
he
amazing.
didn't give me
And all of
to
it,
go running off spending, but he gave me enough.
Yeah.
My debt's paid.
all of it,
That's
thank
awesome.
you, God.
My
All of it
car.
leading up to the high exalted place of her sitting in the Shaba Show.
It really,
lounge, in
this
Shaba
is the
lounge.
peak.
Because it's like, that's how you do it in life. Wheel of Fortune, then the Shaba Show. Hey, bless you guys. We'll see you next week, if not sooner than that. Take care. Be blessed.